Hello and welcome back everyone. Not too long ago I recorded a video about splinters. Now if you haven't seen that one, I'd recommend you go and watch that one first, because there's a bit of an explanation about what our splinters are. But in this video I want to talk about some of the things that Jermaine is sharing with us that we can do with these splinters. Now of course this is all in an experimental phase, and we haven't really had the time or the opportunity yet to sort of test it out. But these are some of the things that he wants to share with us. And of course this is all a part of our Shambhala oneness. This is really high-powered energy, because as we start to understand the choices that we've made in our lives, when they were major choices, what our soul did basically was when we made one choice in this physical body, and perhaps it wasn't the greatest the choice for our greater good, what our soul did and does and has regularly done during our lifetimes, it created, if you will, another splinter of ourselves and put that, if you will, in another dimension, another timeline. And that's the only really way I can explain it, because it's a parallel, if you will, alongside this one that we're living right now. Only from that point on, that splinter of ourselves is living the opposite of that choice. Now, imagine for instance that, and this is what he's sharing, is imagine for instance that in this physical body, that we've got a disease. Let's just use an example, cancer. And let's use the example that the other splinter, actually, no, I gotta go back a little bit here. When we're using the word dis-ease, and I emphasize that, it's because some of our choices or some of our thought patterns have not been for our highest good. And, in those choices, in those thoughts, it's brought our energy down, and it's brought dis-ease into the cell or cellular makeup of our body. And the cancer cells started to grow. So basically, taking the responsibility, and that's an important part of it, that you've actually created this yourself. And it's important to recognize that. Because as you recognize that, you also recognize that when you choose, if you will, to release those old patterns, those old belief systems or whatever, and a lot of people have been proving this, that you can cure that cancer. That's one way of doing it, but there's also this way, because the other splinter, once you made those choices or got stuck in the old belief systems, your soul created a splinter that would become free of it. So there's a piece of you somewhere in another timeline, in another dimension, that has released the old thought patterns or the negativity. And Jermaine's showing us how the two parallels, if you will, and it's kind of comical when you look at this inside of yourself, because you can see yourself in this timeline, in this physical body, and then you can see that other splinter of yourself in another timeline, another dimension, and that other one is perfectly healthy. And it has released, if you will, all of those old negative thoughts and belief systems. Now what Jermaine showed us to do is to communicate. In your meditative state, to communicate with that other splinter of yourself. And as you communicate with that other splinter of yourself, you can feel the fitness, the healthiness of that other being, but you'll also feel something else, because there's something that you've mastered in this physical body, in this physical reality. And you'll find in communicating with that other splinter of yourself that you'll be able to make, if you will, an exchange. And perhaps maybe that's the wrong way of describing it, because actually, once you make this exchange, you're actually drawing the two splinters. Your physical body, you're drawing the physical, or the splinter in the other timeline dimension, you're drawing it back to yourself. Now this is also a part of our returning to oneness. Because during our lifetimes, many of us, and certainly when you reach our age, over the 50, I'm not going to go too far ahead with that, but we've made a lot of choices in our lives. And we've created quite a few splinters as well. Now, as you understand how to work with this, imagine that you're indeed giving and receiving, and you're sharing with these splinters, and you're coming back into oneness. Now Germain's showing us that we can actually indeed heal ourselves and become whole and complete and totally well within ourselves by doing this. Now folks, I did share with you that this is very much in an experimental stage right now, but if you're in small groups, talk about this, share this with others, and experiment with it. Go into a meditative state with each other and talk to each other about what's happening, what you're seeing, what you're experiencing with these other splinters. And please do come back to us with your feedback, because this is going to be important for the future of mankind. And the more people who know about this and do indeed find that it does work, the more people we can help. And that way we're not only bringing our splinters back into oneness, but we're bringing each other back into oneness again, because we'll understand that we're all connected with each other, all working to one goal, to achieving that oneness again. Now, I hope you enjoyed this little sharing, and it was a small example again, and I'm going to be coming back with more examples as they share them with us. And of course, when I get feedback from you guys, I'm going to be coming and talking about some of those experiences as well. If you prefer not to have your name mentioned, then please let me know that too. Please do be willing to work with it, experiment on it, and just see what happens, and send me, do a little write-up and send it to me. Thank you everybody for listening to my words about this part of the splinters. Namaste.